If you hear people saying people don't want to work anymore, the truth is they just don't want to work for you. But you get business owners that are in their 50s and 60s and they've never changed anything in their business. And they go, why don't people want to work for me? It's because you're unattractive. You've aged out of what's attractive. He said, the problem is if you lie to yourself, why should anybody else trust you? Because if you lie to yourself on something you just got done telling me was important to you, I got to assume you're lying to me when you say hitting the sales numbers important to you or anything else.
Well, welcome everybody. This is going to be, I tell you, I know I say everyone is always high impact, I tell you, but I continue to level up. Just the pre-show conversation that Jonathan and I just had, we've got a really cool way to intro this and share you some just mind-blowing ways of using AI and some tech tools. But as you know, outsourcing, right, is something top of mind. So the whole, but how you actually use it, right? People, we're beyond top of funnel. People know that, you know, outsourcing and offshoring and virtual assistants and the AI world, these tools and resources exist. But how do you actually use it? How do you actually implement it? And how do you then take it and translate into tools and resources that actually move the needle in your life and your business? And so love sharing specific examples and case studies. And with Jonathan, we're going to take that even to the next level of how he's translated all his knowledge around that and using these tools and resources, VAs, AI, and tools to create an unbelievable hiring platform that lets you see through people in a way that no other tool out there I've seen does. So thanks, Jonathan, for being with me. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We didn't have to schedule a podcast all the time because my mind's always on fire after I get a chance to visit with you.
No, same here. You know, we can kind of keep selling each other the same dollar back and forth on the latest and greatest tools and resources. So,
that's right.
And as everybody knows me, you know, Brad, founder and CEO at Outsource Access here. I've been a 25-year entrepreneur and all about helping people realize their full potential, and grew Outsource Access to 500 employees in 4.5 years, helping small to medium businesses redefine how they scale with incredibly talented offshore staff in the Philippines, combined with AI related tools and capabilities. And Jonathan and I ended up crossing paths through a couple different relationships we'll talk about and find a common passion around that. But as always, I'd like to kick this episode off. You don't hear any of our blather for the next 30 minutes or so, which I promise is going to be very worthwhile. We're going to share some great examples. I'd like to always kick off with some tools or resources that aren't mainstream, you haven't ever heard of, tool, podcast, app. I always ask my guests to share one. And Jonathan and I actually have a 1-2 punch here. We both were sharing and we both use the same one, but he took it to another level that I'm excited to share about. So I'll kick off to lay the foundation with a platform called Suno, right? That is a platform that will create songs, right? AI generated songs. You can go in and just put in a general prompt, right? And give it general direction. And we'll talk about, and I'll pull it up here on the screen here in a second. And it will generate an unbelievable song. You can do everything from a country Western to a high impact Latin beat, to kind of everything in between. And so for practical application, and I'll pull it up here real quick to share everybody. I coach softball, love youth sports, got a 6-year-old son, a 10-year-old daughter, and walk-up songs are all the thing, right? I mean, these kids are serious about their walk-up songs and how it's going to get them and set the stage for them coming to the plate. And so using, Suno.com, right? I think it's actually Suno.ai is but I think it's Suno. But when you go to the platform, you can go in and prompt it and it will output, right? Incredible. And so and if you use ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, any of the tools, you can actually use that to help you create some, even more creative on the prompting side. But even with the most basic, was able to create unbelievable walk-up song and prompting for my daughter. So hers is Ella Bell is like her nickname. And so she absolutely loved this song. So let's see, pull it up here. We'll be able to put the actual audio in our final one here, but.
Oh, you can hear it.
You hear it come through?
No, it's not. You'd have to hit play the audio, but you can put it in.
Hold on, insert.
So here's the thing when you think about this, like you can supersize this in one of the ways I do this. So when I'm having customer meetings, we're recording those on Fathom or Zoom or wherever you're doing, you get the transcript. Yeah. I drop that into like a GenSpark AI and I say, research this customer, because somewhere your customer has told their life story, like how they got in business, the challenges they overcome. And I figure out what their favorite kind of music. And then I say, write a song in their favorite style of music. I drop it in here. And who doesn't want to get a follow-up song that's totally about them, like all the challenges they've overcome. Like in this world of like, how do you stand out as different? Like a follow-up email. I've even split the email and say, you won't believe the second verse, and I'll give it to you when we get back online. So it's sort of a fun way to do that. I was on a meeting the other day, and one of the gals who was just an employee in the background. So I was on with the CEO and this employee. She was talking about her husband had passed away a number of years ago, and they were teachers together. They went through music school. They loved musicals. So I took that whole podcast and I created a song honoring her husband and hers relationship over the years. And I got such a nice, like, yes, there's the business side of you goes in, like, that's a great business thing, but like, take the business thing out of it. It's just a good human thing. And when we're good humans, we're going to build great businesses just as a byproduct of that. It doesn't have to be a strategy and tactic to be cool.
Absolutely. No, it's just the right thing to do, right? A lot of times, and it's about building relationships. And my prior guest, I was interviewing Jeff Savilica, who's a really profound kind of speaker and MC out in Vegas, and he has a whole deal where he teaches other speakers about how to get more gigs and relationships. And it's talking about just be different, stand out, do the nuances, do the little things differently, and you'll leave an impression with people, right? It's back to that Maya Angelou quote, right? People will never ever forget how you make them feel, right? And when that person opens up that song and they do things differently, changes the game.
So supersizing that, now you've got your song out of Suno.
Yeah,
it's world class by itself, but it's really hard on social to share an MP3. There's no real way to do that on Facebook or anything else, right? Because they got to have the visual. So I take that song and I go over to this new tool called VidMuse, 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 and you drop it in, and you can put a picture of somebody, and it'll create a whole music video. So I share my screen. This image is an actual client of mine. She's building a wellness brand, and she's doing something for women called The Known. And so this is the anthem for women that'll join The Known. I literally just took the picture. I took the song I wrote for her, and I sent this to her. You've always been here. Now you know it. I see you standing at the threshold now. You've been doing the work, refusing to bow to the trends, to the noise, to the easy way out. You protect what's sacred. That's what you're about. You're at the studies while they follow.
Incredible.
And then if you watch, I'm going to jump through the scenes just so you can see. Like, it's such an anthem. And she's now going to use this. She's going to use this as a piece of content when people join her group, to be able to send them as just an anthem. And the gold watch that she's wearing, she's had a watch made like that as a gift for people to say, you're in the know.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So
taking it to the next level. What's the domain for her site? Is it theknownproject.com?
She hasn't put it up yet. So maybe by the time you've done this, her thing will be up. I think she's going to do the known standard, so you can keep looking out. I know she bought the URL for that, but the idea is she's in the health and wellness space. Great story. Her husband had brain cancer, came back. They served the community in a cool way. But we built out an escalation from like a low end product, some health products, all the way up to a $50,000 membership, community membership. So, and that's the sort of work I love doing under my sales boss. Is how do you take a human being and connect them to the thing they're passionate about, and then also put it in a way that they can have a life while delivering that thing, right? And there's no way at the price point she's at now. They got 4 amazing kids. They're just not going to have a life if they deliver the way they are. But now she's got a product that's a $50K product, and she sells 40 of those a year. She's going to be in good shape.
Man, I'm already thinking about 14 other episodes you and I can do together, man.
That's awesome.
What a great story.
But outside of these 2 tools, my favorite tool right now is a little tool called Whisper. And you can just click and you never type anymore. You work like 10 times the speed you would otherwise. So your audience, if they hate music, one, they're not a good human if they hate music, but they should use Whisper.
Yeah, it's again, this is what I knew Jonathan and I were meant to meet when we first started talking. We're both overlapping this first four tools that he mentions, and I can't say enough about this as well. It's whisperflow.ai is the full domain on it, and
Well, one of the things that we were talking about that I think is interesting is everybody's talking about AI, right? And you're going to be further behind. Here's what the mistake I see leaders doing right now is they're AI aware, but they're delegating it just like they delegate every other leadership responsibility. And the problem with delegating it, this is the single most transformational tool in lifetimes.
Yeah.
This is not something, if you delegate it, you're not going to know your team. Are they utilizing it appropriate? You're not able to audit the output. And second, it's totally different to be an observer than to have gotten your hands dirty. Now, I'm not saying you have to do it all yourself. However, if you're not insatiably curious and getting your hands dirty, you're going to go up against a CEO, a leader who is, and who's going to see where the white space and where the opportunity is way in advance. It's one thing to have a tool. It's another thing to have an imagination about how you utilize it. And I was thinking about your business, with placing VAs. One, I hate the term VAs, but we'll use it for the sake of conversation.
I know.
Because I don't think of a
reference, but at least it's a reference point. You can at least start.
It's a reference point. People get it. Yeah. The reason I say that I hate the term VA, I have a bunch of people working in the Philippines and other places on our planet on my team. But the reason I hate calling them VAs is they're just humans. I'm not a virtual CEO. My gal that sits across town here isn't a virtual, right? They're just humans. And many times they have better degrees, better thought processes, like hire the human, not the location. But when the fear I see business owners have is like, how do I bring that? It's like AI. I can sort of understand AI, but I have a hard time implementing it. In our business, as an example, I'll just share a use case for us.
Yeah.
We have a technology platform, helps
Jonathan, real quick, I'd love to.
Oh, yeah.
Give people and I know we both, there's so much exciting things, but I want to give everybody just a little bit of context kind of on your background here.
Yeah.
As we kind of preview, and we'll jump into, as we always do in our episodes, but we always kick off. That was an extended kind of tool version because there's obviously a lot of cool tech tools and resources to kind of pack in and kind of spawn the AI conversation. But would love people to kind of just a little bit on your background. Profoundly, successful and exciting background and kind of where you are. If you can give a little bit of context, and then we'll kind of jump back into the meat of the content.
Yeah, I'm best known for the what's behind me, The Sales Boss. It's a book, was published by Wiley. It's in 6 languages, all about building high performance sales organizations. How do you hire? How do you train? How do you manage them? I call it the sales boss. I think of a sales boss as a sales leader that's operating at the top 1%. And if, to be a sales boss, you really have to be the thermostat, meaning you're not just telling the temperature on a team. You have the ability to, raise the temperature, lower the temperature. And my life's work right now outside of the book is around a technology platform that really helps predict how somebody's going to do before you hire them, and who hires the brand name of that technology platform. But it is around using data to make better hires. We just launched another book, came out a couple of weeks ago, called Unrecruitable.
How to on the side here, I'm showing it.
Yeah. How to build a team your competition can't beat or steal. And so it's these two things coming together. One, how do I use the latest data and science and technology to help me select the right people? But how do I put them in an environment that makes that team unrecruitable? I have an interesting lens to look at human beings through. I grew up in a cult, not a pretend cult, a real mind control, thought control cult. And I broke free of that. Rebuilt my life and then spent my time in business. And my grandfather used to say to me, business would be easy if it wasn't for the people. And that's really true. But if you can sort of understand what makes up people, and in the book Unrecruitable, it's the entire playbook. People talk about culture, right? I think it's overused. Here's the thing every leader needs to know. How do you control somebody's thoughts? It's mind control. And people get all like, oh, I don't know. Like, I don't want people controlling my mind. your mind is being controlled by somebody, so is your employees' minds. Like we consume news, we consume, like, we're feeding our minds. If you have a human being coming in, working in your organization, your job is to control their thinking for good. So I teach something called the Think, Feel, Act audit. And everything in culture is that way. Like, can I design my environment so that when somebody sees it, they're thinking a certain way? That thought's going to produce a feeling, which is going to produce an action. That action is going to be visible to other people on the team, in the community, or customers, which has got to cause them to think, feel, act. And you get this loop going. And here's the thing, somebody's identity, like when we talk about hiring to somebody's identity, it's the most powerful thing. If you have the identity of somebody that's healthy, you don't have to work and motivate yourself to go to the gym. It's just what you do, right? It's your identity. If you're a Christian, it's not hard for you to go to church because that's what Christians do. Like we live in harmony with our identity. So as a business owner, if you can say, what makes somebody's identity? And identity comes from one thing: action repeated over and over produces evidence, which produces an identity. Take it to workout. When I first start working out, I don't have the identity of being a fitness person, right? But I do that enough, all of a sudden I get evidence in better, I'm physically fit, my mindset starts shifting. Eventually, I'm buying athletic gear, I'm joining clubs where I do rock climbing or, go on. All of a sudden, that's my identity. And what used to be hard to drag myself out of the bed to go do is now something I'm a leader in. And I translate that in this book. That's your job. You are the architect. So if identity comes from action repeated, producing evidence of an identity, giving birth to an identity, the question is, how do I have somebody take an action? And every action is a result of emotion, and every emotion is a result of a thought. That's where cult leaders understand. If I can control somebody's thinking, I can control their feelings, which control their action, which eventually, if I stick with it long enough, it's going to control their identity. And when you own somebody's identity, it's a powerful place to be. You're going to get rid of churn. You're going to get rid of turnover. You're going to have people that show up in seeing themselves as a leader. In my first book, The Sales Boss, I wrote, and there's the only benefit of being an author is you can quote yourself. But in my first book,
as part of this, it'd be great to hear some of the key takeaways from that book as well.
In the Sales Boss, I say the people will continue to work for you as long as they believe they can do their best work of their life working for you. The moment that's no longer true, they're going to be susceptible to a few dollars more an hour, another offer. I've been working with Andy Elliott recently. Some of your group might know them, but he's one of the fastest growing sales and development organizations on the planet. If you look at him, he's hyper buff and fitness, and you either love him or hate him. But he went from 0 to 100 million in 3 years, and completely transforming the lives of people that he comes across. And he's the Elliott Army. When I first met Andy, when I first met Andy, he's the first time I walked into a business, and I was like, this is like walking into a real life version of my book. It was amazing. And we do every month we do a 2-day workshop, Unrecruitable, at his location. We show people how to do interviews, because a lot of people don't even know how to run a good interview. They don't know how to run a good recruiting process. They certainly don't know how to build a team like Andy Elliott has built and like the teams I've built.
Yeah.
So for your listeners, if you drop in the show notes, a couple of things. One is, and that I can do for them, if you go to salesboss.com free, I had Ben Hardy out to do an event. He does the book, Scale. So I have 4 hours. It's awesome. It's not promoting me at all. I'm just going to give it away. And also a talent reveal interview framework that I'll give you. And I'll give any of your listeners 2 free tickets to come out to this event. It's a $10,000 event. And when I say that, you can go out and click on the tickets and find it out there. That is the price of the tickets. And people are, happy to pay that because it's so transformational, their business. But
yeah, I've been seeing all the posts you've been doing on social and hearing the the testimonials from people, I mean, you can tell the authenticity.
Yeah, well, if you get the people part of your business right, everything else is easier. We arguably spend more time with our work family than we do with our own family, and it's important to get that right.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, that's a huge takeaway. And even Benjamin Hardy, I mean, I can't, again, I knew that Jonathan and I were brothers from another mother in terms of just more and more overlap. And that, I mean, he was one of the biggest influences on me, right? Willpower is not enough. And then the entire series it did with Dan Sullivan and Who Not How. I mean, just, and then 10X is easier than 2X, right?
Yeah, great book. But that was a long introduction when you said, I'd like to get to know you, but back to your business, and something that we share in common is these, using remote workers, VAs, humans in other locations. One of the ways that I use it in my business is we sell software. People use our platform to hire people. And as our customer success, you can go out, and your listeners could do this anytime. My team's going to hate me for that, but they can just go to meetwhohire.com. They're instantly in a live virtual room. It looks just like a lobby of an office. And there's somebody there that greets them, and they can jump in and get help. And they don't ever have to have an appointment. They get shuttled off into a private breakout room. If we know they're coming, we have a digital sign that says, hey, welcome Joe and Bob and Cindy. I've had my customers bring all of their executives into my virtual lobbies just to see how that works. So the reason I landed on that idea is I have all of these virtual employees, or,
all right, so we're gonna try it live real quick here.
I don't think it'll do it.
Maybe whohire.com.
Well, so maybe it will. Can you be on Zoom and this at the same time? Yeah, try it. Let's see if it works.
Well, actually, let me, I don't know if it'll actually allow control of the camera both, but.
Oh yeah, see, there you go. So this is our lobby for this, right? And then they're going to come on. It may take a second just for, but you can see Daniel.
All content, right? It all overlaps, and either path, all our content goes, right? All overlaps. It's about automating and delegating and really realizing your full potential, right? And outsourcing and VAs and AI is a part of the equation. But it's ultimately like how you're seeing, right, with Jonathan, and a lot of this is, as you were talking about at the beginning, you have the awareness side of things, but it's the creativity and the imagination, right?
Yeah.
So, not to throw your team off here, but we'll pop on live for a second here. So they don't realize we're doing this to them, but.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can my team hear me? They probably can't hear me. All right. So normally they would say, hey, welcome to the Who Hire Lobby. You just can't hear that.
Oh, she's saying it to me, right? I can hear it now. We'll have to dub in the audio.
It's not
those can't hear. We're doing this kind of impromptu right now, so you can't hear the audio. But Joyce just said hi to me. She said, hey, Brad, welcome to the lobby.
Tell us you're on a podcast with Jonathan.
And you got Jonathan on here. You can't see him on the other side, but we're live on a podcast right now, and I'm screen sharing, and I'm bringing you guys in to show him.
Yeah. So this is what our customers get to. So now with Andy Elliott, we also run his hiring platform. So if you switch, just put in meetelliottHire.com. Let's see the difference in that lobby. You'll have to log out of this one and just do another one. But here's the thing is,
I'll let Joyce know because she's welcoming me right now. But so Joyce, thanks so much. I was just popping in real quick. I have an offshore cab staffing up in the Philippines, and we're talking about how great you guys are, but also showing the other ways you can use staff, right? To actually create this like virtual meeting, kind of experience. So I'll pop out and let you guys to get to some real folks that are coming in, but it was a great example. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, and if you go to Meet Elliott Hire, I want you to do that for your clients. It's also run by the same team, but completely different branding, completely different feel. So it's gonna be very similar, except you're gonna notice the feel just matches their brand and their colors. But it would be physically impossible for me to run this with traditional staff based here in the U.S. Right? But I have 15 people on my virtual team that run this lobby, and we handle over 100 meetings a day coming through our lobby. Just in this lobby here, we got 100 on the other side as well. So a couple hundred customer visits where they get live help.
Yeah.
So here you go. See now that you can see the branding and the lion. You say hello and let her know that you're on with her favorite person, Jonathan.
Hello, everybody. Real quick, sorry, this is kind of impromptu. So I'm on with your favorite person, Jonathan. I'm actually have him on my podcast right now. actually own an offshore staffing company in the Philippines and down in the CDO area. So you can't see him right now, but we're doing screen share, and he wanted to show how this virtual lobby concept works of you guys greeting everybody.
Yeah,
I'm going to do one of these too for Outsource Access. So thanks for the idea, and thanks for the big smiles to greet everyone. I appreciate it.
yeah, that's it. Hold on just a second. I'm gonna take a screenshot and then I'm gonna send it to them so they know.
Jonathan wants to send. He's going to take a quick screenshot. And he's going to send it your way.
Yeah, that way you know you are where you were. All right,
Perfect.
awesome. But those are ways of just I think when
Very cool. All right, I'll drop off and let you guys deal with some real folks and customers coming through here. But it's a great way to demo the concept.
Yeah, and I think the point of that for people that are watching is there's so many things you can accomplish with just being open to not doing it the traditional way. Like if you think about, oh, what do I do with just staff that I have here and I want to have control over them? The thing that virtual lobby did for us is we have staff in Budapest, we have staff in London, we have staff in Australia, in the Philippines, in who am I forgetting that's going to listen to this and be like, you forgot our whole team. But every meeting we have as a leadership meeting or inter-company meeting, we go into our virtual lobby, they see there's that sort of natural interaction, and then they hop off into these breakout rooms. So, one of the challenges I think people when they have virtual staff is they go, oh, are they working? Well, let's be honest. You could have somebody on the other side of this wall in the office next to me. I don't really know if they're working either. Right? Like let's let humans be humans and realize that most humans, that if you've hired them correctly and you've given them a mission and they're growing, they're not avoiding work. They're actually giving you every bit of their discretionary work. If people are hiding from working for you, it's a you problem. You're not a good leader. That's it. If you're a good leader, is there an occasional day somebody's not going to work as hard? Sure, we're all humans. I'm going to be the same way.
Right.
But 99.9% of the time, I'm actually giving discretionary effort that I wouldn't be required to give.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Now, I completely agree. And and that's why when it comes to this whole world, right, it's perception, right? And perception versus reality kind of around it. And look, I get it. I mean, I was in that place, and I'm sure you were before you kind of explored and learned about the Philippines or these other countries and what have you. But it is a mindset shift, right? And just, when I joke around when I talk about virtual assistants or outsourcing or what have you, I can see these imaginary bubbles pop above people's heads, right? And I call them the DFC bubbles: doubt, fears, concerns. And look, I see the bubbles, right? And I had the same ones: competency, language, skill set, responsibility, communication, security, all the typical things that people have in the process, and rightly so. And that's why, showing this example is a great one in the process, because it's the exact same thing. When I'm going over to the Philippines and I spend time with our folks in the office there, I spend a tremendous amount of time doing tons of video.
And it actually, right? And here's the thing, it actually, when people talk about, well, what about work here in the US and blah, blah, blah. Well, okay. I'm happy to engage in that conversation, but I just think it's ignorant. And I can say that because I'm your guest. but here's the thing. By outsourcing in other places, it actually allows me to pay higher wages in the US and get higher quality clients that allows me to grow my company and have a bigger impact in the US. Like this idea that when I give a job out to somebody outside of this country, that it shrinks opportunity in the US is just uneducated. Our whole system, and those same people are shopping on Amazon. Those same people are going to buy a TV made in another country. Like now I'm going to get on my soapbox and, but the reality is it isn't that they want to give jobs to Americans. The fear is they're just giving into their fear that I won't have control in the traditional way that I like control.
No, exactly.
And they just need to get over that. And then when they realize that, it's so beautiful. Those gals that were on, I was at the end of the week a couple of weeks ago, and one of them, I was like, well, what are you going to do? And they work US hours. She's like, well, I'm going to go out and go for a run. I was like, well, how come? Have I had you sitting at the desk too long this week? And She's like, no, actually, since working for you, I can eat whatever I want. And my family and my parents and their family all rely upon me. And I can buy as much groceries as I want. So I'm eating everything I can possibly ever have wanted in my life. And that's because I'm working for you. You're just not going to get that especially for the wage that we pay. And we pay well.
Yeah.
I don't use it as a method to say, let me underpay people. I don't believe in using people to build your business. I think you should build people, and your people will build your business. But
no, absolutely, man. You've triggered 14 bubbles of my own, kind of as you're sharing in the journey.
yeah, you gotta be careful. When you get me running, I'll get on my soapbox and
Well, no, and I'd love to speak to each of those. And I think you were talking about in the beginning, right? When it comes to using offshore and virtual assistants, right? When you deal with the issue of, oh, you're shipping jobs overseas and so forth. And I love that one, because then I go and share, well, let me tell you about Hyler Painting, right? So Hyler Painting is a painting company up in Philadelphia that is, traditionally residential, commercial painting and so forth. And I have a series called On the Road, where I will go and, fly out of Atlanta here and go take some film and go visit them on site. And this is me actually heading up to Hyler Painting, outside of the suburbs of Philadelphia. They hired their very first VA, Rika, then they hired a second, then they hired a third. And she had such an impact on their business, helping grow, because she was taking on and doing things right in their business related to marketing, sales, operation. She helped to kind of reshape and integrate Salesforce into their business. She helped to refine and support the whole hiring process. She was able to help have impact on sales, marketing, operations. Then they hired someone else. And then Jamie, who is his local US employee in charge of HR, I sat down and got a chance to interview them, and I'll provide links to this. And she was, and finally, I get a chance to go to my kids' football game tonight at 6:00 p.m., right? Because of the work that Rika is doing. And believe it or not, Rika, who was a VA from our company they hired from the Philippines, got voted the employee of the year by all of their US employees, because of the impact. In fact, created more local jobs in the United States, because they helped grow revenue. They were able to grow, I think, 40 to 50 local employees, because they got to have more people to paint more houses because of the work they were doing. So it's this interesting dichotomy that ultimately it actually has the reverse effect. It helps grow business here, because you create a release valve and access to talent that they can afford that they wouldn't have otherwise, to then drive the top line.
Yeah. You and I play in this space of human potential. That's what I call it. I've always had a passion about that. Like, I think the most beautiful thing as a leader is to help elevate human potential. I was thinking the other day, I was traveling, and I'm on the plane. This is an AI story, by the way, so we might as well come full circle. I decided, like, the only way is just, you got to play with things. So I'm flying from Nashville back to Phoenix, and I'm like, I'm going to program an entire app and launch it complete with Stripe payments and everything else, design code. I'm not a designer coder. And I'm going to do it from my mobile phone on airplane Wi-Fi. It's a 4-hour flight. It's like 3 hours and 45 minutes. So as soon as I take off, I had this app idea, and it's going to start with you open the app. It's going to have a little pulsating heart, and then it's going to have a little animation. It's going to say, hey, are you a single, double? What's your dating status, relationship? If you're married, how long have you been married? And then, do you want to do a song just from you, or from you and your mate? And so it'll interview both of you, and then it'll create this Valentine's Day song. And I did this just before Valentine's Day. So I got the entire app done and launched, and my first payment before I landed.
Wow.
And that's something that I couldn't have done for 6 figures and 60 days a year ago. And done. And I totally forgot about the app, and I logged into Stripe the other day, and I have money coming in on this thing because I never shut it off. I probably have like customer service issues too. I don't know, because I don't have it hooked to any customer service issues. But that's an example of how things have changed. But where I was going with that is, why can I do that? And the reason I can do that is because some human somewhere had a thought that I should be able to do that. Somebody thought, you should be able to get Wi-Fi at 30,000 feet. And they got enough other people going, yeah, that's a pretty good idea. Let's do that. And then I land here in Phoenix. And I don't know if you've taken the Waymo driverless cars, but you know,
I haven't been in one yet. They're flying around Atlanta here. I'm sure I'm coming.
So it's like Uber, but this driverless car comes, picks me up and drops me right at home. Now, why can I do that? It's because some human thought I should be able to do that. And they got enough of that's human potential realized. Those are the same kind of humans that show up in your business and my business and your viewers' business. And yet, if you talk to business owners, they'll be like, oh, people don't want to work anymore these days. People are like, they don't have a work ethic these days. People are, you know, and there's all these complaints about humans. And I would say 100% of the time, if you're listening, you know, your listeners are probably more intelligent than that, so they don't say that. But if you hear people saying people don't want to work anymore, the truth is they just don't want to work for you. It'd be like being on a dating app and nobody, you know, swiping right, or I think it's swiping right, and going, hey, nobody wants to have sex anymore. Like the truth isn't that people don't want to have sex. They just don't want to have it with you. Like fix yourself, become more attractive. Like when you're competing for employees these days, you're competing with young people who have grown up being sold this dream that they can make $200,000 a year from a beach in Bali. And you're telling them to put on, you know, their uniform and show up to your office that looks dark and unattractive and punch the clock. And you put them on tools that are a decade out of, like, of course they don't want to work for you.
Yeah,
like, you know, if you suddenly, you know, you're in your 40s and 50s and you end up on the dating market, you realize, oh, I got to get a new haircut. The thing that was getting me laid when I was 20 isn't doing it anymore. I got to update my clothes. But you get business owners that are in their 50s and 60s and they've never changed anything in their business. And they go, why don't people want to work for me? It's because you're unattractive. You've aged out of what's attractive. If you want to build an unrecruitable team, that's why I wrote this whole book. I got a whole audit, like the Think, Feel, Act audit. If you want to build a great business, you have to be able to control people's thinking. And here's the first exercise. Really practical tool. Get your leadership team together and ask them, what do I want somebody to think when they come into contact with my company as a potential employee? And I would guarantee your leadership team all thinks slightly different. But it's one thought. So I did this exercise. I had a client, they were hiring HVAC technicians and they're churning a bunch of people out. They're using my software and they call me and they're like, your software doesn't work. You promised me it would help churn. And I was like, nope, it's a you problem. I promise you my software works. It's a you problem. I don't know what your problem is, but I'll come out at my expense and I'll help you figure this out. So we flew out to California. And the reason I know it's not my software, because I got companies hiring 200 technicians a year and doing fine and driving their, you know, turnover rates to single digits. So it's not my software. So I fly out and the place is a mess. The building's a mess. And so I take the guy to lunch. I'm like, hey, what do you want? We're going to do this Think, Feel, Act audit. What do you want people to think? One, all their leaders thought differently, but we finally got them down to the idea that they want people to think this company produces champions. And the feeling that comes from that thought is one of pride and one of belonging on the team and one of willing to put in best effort and to learn. And the action is, right, you can see the Think, Feel, Act. So I say, let's go audit your building. So we pull back from lunch, we pull outside their building. It's got this massive building right on the highway. It's a metal building. And there's an old tattered vinyl sign with the ropes on it that, like, it's ripped, it's fading, and it says, now hiring, competitive wage, apply within. It looks like it's been there for 3 decades. And I said, on the Think, Feel, Act audit, the power of the audit is every micro interaction with your company, physical building, digital item, something they listen to, if they had to judge you 100% on that one thing, would it pass the test? So I just parked in their parking lot. I said, looking at the building, does this pass the we create champion thought? Like, clearly it doesn't, right? You walk up their sidewalk, it's pitted, dirty, and you go to open the front door and it's locked. And there's a faded curl sign on there that says, press the buzzer, a receptionist will be with you. None of that screams We know how to create champions. And this owner is spending thousands and thousands of dollars on Indeed and churning people out of his business. And he doesn't do the simple audit. So now, by the way, we sat in his bathroom, we sat in his lobby, we sat in everywhere in the business and did the same audit. And we did the same thing with his emails and his hiring funnel and his shirts and his trucks. Surprisingly, he still likes me and pays me, and he's a customer because that was embarrassing.
But everything represents.
That's it. So now you pull up to his building. Instead of that old tattered sign is 3 huge images of smiling human beings. And they have the 3 names. I don't remember what names are up there. And below it, it says Frank was a waiter, and it names the restaurant he's a waiter at, $25,000 a year. Now our operations manager, $175K a year. And he loves dogs, like a couple of personal things. 3 people, 3 areas of the company. Where did they start? Where did they go to? Big sign above it says, we create champions. Think you're one, come inside. Which do you think is more effective? And it cost him less to redo that outside of his building than a quarter of the ad spend that he was spending on Indeed to get candidates, only to fire them 90 days later. It's madness. Because we get involved in our business and we get so up close to it that we can't take our glasses off and go, how do people really see me? It's like, you ever moved into a house and like there's something that bothers you? Like I have a house, there's a stain right in the tile, like it's cracked right in the entryway. And I was like, I got to replace this as soon as I moved in. It's 5 years later, I've never replaced it. I don't even see it now until I have company. And I'm like, damn, I should have replaced that tire or tile on the. That's how what we're doing in our businesses. We're walking into our businesses, walking right past the billboard that talks about us. Anyway, that's the Think, Feel, Act audit. That's how cult leaders develop a cult, is they are amazing masters at controlling people's thoughts.
And it's every dimension of the experience, right?
It's every dimension. Here's
a single thing that you see, you feel. What's the vibe? So go back to the software. Software is effective, right? It's a matter of the environment you're bringing them into, right? Isn't a desirable place. They're not having the feelings, the thoughts, the emotions, right? That are connected to a place that they want to be a part of. Like you said at the beginning, people want to be where they are doing their best work. And if you can deliver that experience, you got somebody for life.
Yeah. And here's another thing, right? If you're really building a company, what you're asking somebody in their 20s or 30s. You're asking them to give you the best decades of their life. Now, I'm not saying you don't hire people above that, but like 90% of people's businesses are built with people in their 20s and 30s. And you're saying, give me the best decades of your life. So I always say to an owner, I said, take yourself and your leadership team, top level leaders. If you could have a hiring class come in, people you're trying to hire, and you set them down and your whole leadership team just gets naked. You turn around, you let them look at you, you show them your blood work, you show them your health records, and you say to them, look, give me your 20s and 30s, you can have health just like me. You can look just like me and all my leaders. How many people are signing up for that? I don't know the answer to that. I can't see you naked, but you can, right? And like, I say that to people and they're like, well, that's just being shallow. I'm like, no, it actually is not. That's what you're promising people. You're saying, if you live like I do, this is what you're going to get. Tired, worn out, broken family, alcoholic, complaining, like your life sucks. That's your promise. You wonder why you can't get good employees, why you can't have an unrecruitable team. Yeah, you'll get people that have a job, of course, because people need to get paid. But that's not an unrecruitable team. It's not the kind of team like you want to build. It's not the kind of team that inspires humans. So I start with physical. Second, if you could give all of your financial records to this new hire and you say, look, give me your 20s and 30s, and this is what you're going to have in terms of wealth. Would they work for you? If you could take those same applicants and you say, hey, come home with me. You're a fly on the wall. You can see the way my wife and I interact and the way my children talk to me. And you can stay there all week. And you tell them, look, give me your 20s and 30s and you too can have a family just like this. Like that's the game we're playing. If you want to win at building amazing organizations, you're going to build with humans. And we are living in a society where there is a complete lack of leadership and mentorship. People don't quit mentors, they quit bosses. Our generation today, they don't want a boss, they want a mentor. They want somebody that can show them how to live and can demonstrate it with authenticity, because we are bombarded by inauthenticity. That's my soapbox. You got to keep me from getting started. I'll preach.
No, I mean, I'm acknowledging everything along the way in every single dimension. Just all those different areas. I mean, it's how you do anything is how you do everything. Kind of one of my
Yeah,
four
and people
you know,
will say that, and yet they just let themselves off the hook. Like humans are amazing at letting themselves off the hook. Me, myself included, by the way. Like if you know, let's imagine you're married, right? And your anniversary is coming up, and you forget to buy flowers or whatever you do to acknowledge that. Like in your own mind, you're like, well, she knows I love her. Like I just was busy working, and I'm working for her. And you know, I hear my best friend does that. I'm like, man, you suck. Like I'm not giving him. I had a mentor say to me a couple of years ago, it really impacted me, and it was around fitness. And he said, you know, because I was just working, really just let myself go. And he said, you know, the problem isn't that having a goal. He said, the problem is if you lie to yourself, why should anybody else trust you? And I was like, this hit me hard. And I'm like,
wow,
that's the problem is I've been lying to myself. Like, I don't really value health. I don't really value fitness. I'm lying to myself because it sounds nice. Because if I really believed health was important, I wouldn't have to think about it. I wouldn't get off track and stay off track for that long. And as somebody that
right now,
yeah, as somebody that values being trustworthy, that really hit me. I was like, it's absolutely right. Why should they trust me? So I have this new employee started a couple of months ago. We go on a walk the first day. He shows up at the office. I'm like, hey, do you want to just have shallow conversation? Should we really get to know each other? He's like, no, let's really get to know each other. And so I was talking about what's important to him. And he's like, one of the things that's really important is he wants to get fit again. He's just slightly out of shape and not horribly, but. And so I said, well, do you know what it would take to do that? Like, what would it take? And of course, he knew everything, like we all do. He's like, well, I got to get in the gym 5 days a week. I got to eat my macros. I'm like, well, what's keeping you from doing that? No, nothing's keeping me from doing it. I just got to commit. I'm committed. I'm committed to fitness. I said, great. So here's the deal. Are you really committed to it? And he's like, yeah. I said, great. So I want you to text me a picture every day of you in the gym and that you did 10,000 feet and your screenshot of your MyFitnessPal where you tracked your macros. The first day you don't do that, I'm going to fire you. And he got all up. He's like, well, why would you do that? I said, well, because if you lie to yourself on something you just got done telling me was important to you, I got to assume you're lying to me when you say hitting the sales numbers important to you or anything else. And I just don't want to work with somebody who's going to lie to me. Are you going to be okay with that if I hold you to your word? Or are you somebody I shouldn't trust? Well, I sort of had him in a corner, really, like, because what could he say? Like, no, I'm not serious about my health. So every day for the last 60 days, he's texted me a picture of himself. He's pictured me. The guy has completely transformed. He just had his 50th birthday last week, and he sends me a message and he says, thank you for calling me up to who I knew I could be.
Wow.
He is unrecruitable. Like the only way I'm going to lose him off my team is if I fire him. And by the way, Daniel, if you're watching this, if you don't get your sales number up, that's might be where we're at. No. But if you get Daniel on the call, you can ask him how his fitness is going.
Well, I'll tell you to second that. And that's, again, those are, how do you create a disruptive impact on how people feel, right? In whatever course, whether it's employees, whether it's clients, whether it's, a spouse, a child, right? How do you make them feel different and feel connected? Feel is such a powerful word. And when you create those disruptive, experiences and the questions and the way you engage, right? And like you said, human beings at the end of the day, they fundamentally just want to know that they matter and they want to be a part of something bigger, than themselves.
Yeah.
And to tie that full circle back to the whole, Philippines world, because I think you and I both share this, right? It's such a, when I hired, Jay Sell in the very beginning, my very first VA, she shared a picture to me of some children, in a big circle with shoes in a big circle. She said, Brad, because of the money, I'm making for you, I was able to buy all these shoes for these children who have to walk an hour back and forth to school, every single day. And I got a chance to speak at the United Nations headquarters not too long before that, and learned about the Sustainable Development Goals. And I said, Jason, I don't know where we're taking this business. We were only around 70 employees back at that point. I said, but we are going to launch a whole virtual assistants give back initiative that's going to be a part of our journey moving forward. And from that moment forward, and part of this isn't about what my passions are, right? It was about, we would go interview, and we still do it today. We interview our employees every quarter and we say, what are you most passionate about? What do you care most? And we use the Sustainable Development Goals as kind of a framework that touch on everything related to humanity and society, life on land, zero hunger. So we've planted hundreds of trees to offset carbon emissions. We've actually, my very first trip there, this is actually Jay Sell carrying shoes. We replicated the same thing she did. And we said these children went and circled their shoes, and we bought 150 pairs of shoes for kids, went and delivered them in this village with them, and these inspirational journals. And then every single quarter since then, all the Sustainable Development Goals, we ask our employees, like, what do you care most about in your country and your community?
I've seen this global goals initiative. It's really, really a cool thing. I'm glad you're able to be part of that.
It's a framework that 17 areas that touch, because part of it is, one of those 17 is going to touch on people. And in my last trip to the Philippines, one of the things that, health is obviously a challenge in a lot of these countries. And a center near where our office, not too far away, is supports 200 children that have pediatric cancer. And they're about to lose their building. And we were able to help fund a third of paying for that building, and help raise the funds to be able to support and secure it for them. I was able to chance to revisit that, when I went on our last visit. So it's investing in things they care about. So to your point about being unrecruitable, when an employee gets asked, like, hey, tell me, what do you care about? And I'm actually going to pay for the opportunity to go lean into that initiative. I mean, we have a bunch of our employees who are very passionate about pets. And so we invest in doing, rescue kind of a, initiative.
Yeah.
We have our own magazine. We're the only company. And actually, since our clients have seen this, and I get a chance to speak a lot on culture, we actually help our clients do this. So we have, we're the only company that has our own magazine in the Philippines. And it's literally, we produce this to do nothing but showcase our employees and the impact that they're having on our clients, share their journeys, bring them in, do a big makeup.
You know how you talk about these thought bubbles?
Yeah.
Do you think there would be, so I sell a lot into home services, HVAC, plumbing, electrical.
Yeah, same here.
I should start a magazine where my clients can feature their employees, and it gets sent out to other contractors. And although then you might be stealing their best employees.
I'll tell you, but to do it as an internal, right? So actually, I'll share in this space. And so, we have a lot of clients, home and commercial.
Although if you have an unrecruitable team, you shouldn't be worried about that.
Well, one of the clients, and actually, when I was launching this company through another relationship, they called Refrigerware, and they manufacture like really high end, like, thick clothes for people that work in refrigerated environments. And, one of the most powerful things from their culture is they have a company calendar, right? And people have to qualify to be a month in the calendar. And it's like, aside from any commission, any other table stakes, that calendar that probably costs them $2 to print, they earn the right to be in that calendar, right? Is what, is the biggest thing that's most important to
them. Do they make them wear like a fireman's hat and no shirt, or
a little bit of a village people kind of a vibe that they have, so it's a big part. So finding ways you can celebrate your employees and bring them in. And we have this thing like, tell us how you did it. Actually, spawned off of Vern Harnish that shared one time. And instead of just giving one-way accolades to your employees, ask them to tell you how they did it, how they pulled it off. Jonathan, great job killing the commissions and sales this month, right? Hey, how'd you pull it off? How'd you do it? And I'm telling you, we have had people just unpack a novel that we never would have expected. One of our Filipino staff, she went on about, she had read every single novel about Henry Ford, and that's what impacted her life. I would have never, ever known. And so we actually have a whole book called the How I Did It, Tell Us How You Did It book. That's part of our culture. So when people come work with us, we can tell them about our core values and so forth, but we hand that over and say, hey, This is actually our own employees in their own words talking about, the impact that they're having. So
That's it.
can't say enough about the impact.
I could riff with you forever.
I
know we're running up against the time we committed, but let's circle up the horses again and put our boots around the fire and have another chit chat.
Yeah, no, we'll take our plod that's recording this and have it tell us the 14 different splinter topics that we could speak on, kind of in between. So. Well, to land it, well, John, has been amazing. And, we've touched on hopefully all these things that any entrepreneur, business owner, founder, executive is navigating, right? We've covered the whole world of AI. We've talked about mindset. We've talked about culture. We've talked about people. And obviously the whole world of outsourcing and virtual assistants, and giving you practical examples of how you can use those and make videos and songs about your clients as well to kind of send and disrupt the experience for them. So hopefully this has been a great high takeaway value. Everybody knows me. That's what I'm about, is people walking away from things, not just with a feel good, but things they can actually put into place. So we'll get all this in the show notes. And I just want to remind everybody, for Jonathan, you can go visit to thesalesboss.com/free. And that's amazing. I mean, I tell you, Ben Hardy, it costs a fortune to have Ben Hardy come speak for an event. And I know you funded for him to come, and they can go and get a whole set of resources there to help engage and learn his key takeaways on the training. And if you email tools, TOOLS, at outsourceaccess.com and put sales boss in the subject line, we'll send you our 2-question exercise that people always want to begin. Like, where do I begin with outsourcing? What can I do? How does it work? Well, we've taken 5 million hours of work we've done in 6.5 years, and we'll send this Google Doc to you. It's got some simple pages, but it's simply these 2 questions that you ask yourself and ask your team. Don't complicate it anymore. Take these 2 questions, send it. What are you doing that's not a good use of your time? How many hours per month? And what do you think we should be doing that we aren't? And we got over 700 tasks that you can scroll in here that we've done over the years. And I'm telling you, this begins the process of constraints, and it helps get people to where their genius zone is in the organization. So tools at outsourceaccess.com, put sales boss in the subject line. We'll send it your way. And we'll also have it in the show notes. And got a lot more coming your way. I think we got 3 or 4 more episodes that Jonathan.
The AI tool that I shared with you, which we won't go into here because we don't have time, but the one I'm talking about, the recorder thing.
Yeah.
The other thing that it does is, because it's connected on your laptop and it hears you, every day it decides for you what are the things it could take off your plate and automate. Because it says, hey, here's the tools you could use to automate this and never do it again. Do you want me to build that for you?
Wow. That's a whole nother.
So
that's a beyond whisper, right?
No, we've got to leave that one off this episode. But this is coming.
Where things are going next, right?
No, it's already there. It's already there, but we got to stay one step ahead.
Well, thanks so much for the valuable time and for sharing your background and experience and all these case studies and examples. I know our listeners will thoroughly appreciate it, and we'll put all the links for everybody to engage and dive in, and look forward to hearing everybody's feedback on it. So thanks, Jonathan. Another episode of How Outsourcing and AI Works for small to medium business. Tons packed in here. Look forward to another round.